Wales and Fiji, 38 points to 23, folks. I've just watched that game this morning here in New Zealand. I planned to watch it live. It was on at 4:15 in the morning, but my local broadcaster had it listed under the title of Program Information Unavailable, which is not something you tend to want to get up at 4 in the morning for. So I've watched it delayed, and I'll go through some of the key event stats, and you guys can let me know your thoughts on how the game went. I will definitely say, because I haven't jumped onto any social media yet, that the cards are going to be the biggest talking point of the game. There's probably going to be a bit of negativity around the manner of the victory. I did manage to see Wayne Pivac's post-match press conference where he basically said the late tries from Wales come from them kind of executing their game plan. You can either believe him or you cannot. But either way, in terms of the game itself, that's kind of how it did pan out. I wasn't that sure about Wales in the black shirt with the, what was it, white socks and green shorts. That was a bit of an odd look, although I do like the black shirt. I'm partial to teams wearing black rugby jerseys as a Kiwi, I must say. But yeah, it was a cracking start. Sal, who's the man who gets red carded, not almost got yellow carded, but got red carded, sat down Nick Tompkins early. I was surprised to see Nick Tompkins start him, but apparently Josh Adams withdrew like literally in the last few minutes with a slight twinge in his leg, so they didn't risk him, which was a bit of a disappointing one. But yeah, kind of early indication of what you were going to see from Fiji with the big physical game, and they kind of did what they did to the All Blacks in terms of being able to get big bodies at the breakdown, and Pivac did mention that as well. So I guess we can all kind of see that coming when we play Fiji, because yeah. They did it. They've done it to multiple teams now, so it kind of shouldn't be a surprise. And the first try goes to Fiji, and it's Naithalevu. He gets the first of his two. It's on 4 minutes. Vola puts a nice little inside ball through to Mata, who goes between, I think it's Bigger and Adam Baird. Gets one of his trademark offloads away to Naithalevu, who's got the gas to go over. Cracking start for Fiji, man. 7 points to 0. Will Griff John has to go off with an HIA. And, I mean, I know there has been a bit of negativity around Wales. I mean, just losing does that, right? Anytime you lose, there's negativity. You should hear New Zealand Talkback Radio anytime the All Blacks lose. It's flooded with calls. If we win, nobody wants to talk about it. But it's just kind of human nature. But, I mean, the injury list for Wales is pretty long. Will Griff-Drom was only supposed to be a replacement for this game, and he has to start because of Thomas Francis's concussion. And he goes off after about 6 minutes himself, so Dylan Lewis has to come on and play the lion's share of the game. So, yeah, you guys have just got bad luck with injuries at the moment. I mean, everybody gets them, but the Wales list just seems to be extensive at the moment. There's a penalty for Wales not releasing at the breakdown, and it's 10-0. Vola slots it. So, 10-0. Wales have got a guy off already. It's I didn't know the results, so it was looking like it could be a pretty interesting a game, and it kind of proved to be. 10 minutes, Wales did strike back though, and often when you see Tier 1 teams play Tier 2, it is that extra prep time and training time that the teams get together that tends to show, and it doesn't show any way better than in a mall, right? That's just absolute guys, you know, however many guys are there in there, basically the forward pack, working together towards the same purpose, and that extra training time together generally pays off. So Ryan Elias gets his first of 2 tries in the game. So 7 points to 10. It's starting to look a bit happier for Wales. They start to build a period of pressure. They don't get any points to show for it though. They're knocking on the door for a wee while, but can't quite execute. When they go back down their other end, like Fiji are just doing Fiji stuff. Like Sam Matavesi's going down the right wing after they do a blindside move, and then he puts in a chip, which Liam Williams has to go and then mark. Like, he does a good job to cut across and mark it. And Sam Matavesi, I think I've seen him in the Premiership, put in the odd kick as well. So, yeah, not many teams. I mean, you do see it. Front rowers these days have better skill sets than they used to. But, yeah, a pretty nice little dink and kick from the hooker, you'd have to say. 22 minutes, Fiji did go back down Wales' end when Bigger kicked it out on the full. And Wales conceded another penalty. So, kind of, yeah, there's a few times in this game where Wales make you kind of shake your head with the unforced errors, or maybe, just kind of poor decision making seemingly. But, yeah, I'm still not You look at the Lewis Rees-Zammit try, it's kind of all is forgiven. But anyway, it's 13 points to 7. 24 minutes is when it happens. The red card, which kind of changes the game. Ronnie Sowell has just tackled Johnny Williams. And the commentary team probably did a pretty spot-on job of saying that he then tries to put a second hit on him to push him into touch because he's right next to the sideline. But he doesn't get his body. He just makes swinging arm contact with the head, which these days is generally going to be pretty bad news. The referee basically says he thinks it's going to be yellow because of the height, and he's dropping because Johnny Williams is on the ground. But the TMO talks him into a red, basically saying that it was a second movement, so the height was already low. He's gone in low. I mean, those ones have just been reds, I think, for a wee while. I was kind of hoping for a yellow just for the game, but yeah, man, you probably just don't go in with a swinging arm to a guy lying on the ground, and you probably won't get red carded. Yeah, so it's tough, but it's just the way the game's ref these days, and we all know that. So it's a red card. It sucks for the game, but that's what it is. Bigger misses the resulting touch finder, so there's a couple kicks he's missed. Lomani does a pretty great job of keeping it in field, but yeah, Fiji down to 14 men for the rest of the game. Matavesi continues to be impressive, apart from his kicking game, as the hooker wins a massive turnover after Wales' maul's been shut down, and they're kind of putting on some relentless pressure, so good for the Fijian D to get them out of jail. And then more shake your head moments for Wales, like Hardy at one point just chucks the ball straight into touch. You're trying to build pressure. That's not the way to do it. But Wales do get an extra chance to kind of build some pressure when Tuisui gets yellow carded for not releasing. And Wales were put on some pressure. They've been like 10 phases. So, you got to slow that ball down, but he gets pinged for it. He gets yellow carded. So it's 15 on 13. And Hardy makes up for that chucking it into touch by scoring a pretty nice try right before halftime. The Fijian guys have spread pretty wide, and Mata has moved from number 8 to the flank, and he just can't peel off quick enough to stop Hardy, who snipes. There's a big gap there. It's Mata's to cover, but with 2 men down, there's going to be gaps, and Hardy just takes that. So yeah, good move from him. Kind of backs himself to get it done to beat Mata to that space, and he did it. So yeah, good work. And it's 14-13. They are denied a quick fire double when Rees-Zammit looks to have scored a pretty good one from a bigger kick, but they go back for Rees-Zammit when he tried to keep a kick in play. It had crossed the plane. There's that new law. It's not new. It's a few years old now about how if it crosses the plane, you've got to be You've got to land inside the field of play to kind of keep it live. He doesn't. So that try is denied. So it goes in a 1-pointer at halftime with Wales having a 2-man advantage. Second half, Vola kicks a nice penalty. Adam Baird puts in a seatbelt tackle. So Fiji are back in front. In terms of the yellow card, it finishes 7-3. So you had 2-man advantage, only score 7 points. It's maybe an area where Wales will look back and think, could have scored more points. But as I said, they were denied a try at the end of that first half. And Wayne Pivac did say he thought the red card galvanised the Fijians, which does happen. I mean, you can take him at his word or you can think it's a load of nonsense, but sometimes I have seen teams perform better with 14 men. It just legit does seem to happen sometimes. So not too much damage done during that first yellow card, but there would be another one later. Wales offside in their own half is another one. I know they're trying to get the line speed going, but it's just when you've got the extra man, it's not the kind of area you need to be making. But fortunately for them, Fiji missed the penalty. But they got one better a few minutes later because that was on about 56, 57 minutes. Nathalevu gets another one. And it's apart from Rees-Zammit's one, it's probably the try of the game. Because Wales kick, I think it's Tuisuvu marks it in his 22. And you don't see guys usually mark it and then immediately tap it, but he does. He beats, I think, 2 Welsh tacklers and then gets a nice pass to Nathalevu, who just absolutely gasses all the way to the line. So it's coast to coast. It's a thing of beauty. It's an absolute, like when you think Fiji rugby, you think that kind of try, and it's a great sideline from conversion from Vola. Much needed. He doesn't always nail them, but he nailed that one. So yeah, 23 points to 14. Fiji back in front. But that's the final scoring for Fiji. They would spend much of the rest of the game defending. There was a period where Wales were trying to, just trying to get back in front, which kind of goes without saying, but I was a bit shaking my head at the decision making again, because there's one point where they're about 5 meters out from the Fijian line and they tap it. And I'm thinking, you got an extra man, either maul it because you've got some pay there, or scrum it so you know you've got all the forwards in one place again and find the extra man out wide. But they tapped it, which I thought was just bizarre decision making, because it wasn't like the Fijian guys weren't ready for it. But it didn't matter because they got another advantage. The next time they got that penalty, they did opt for the line out. They mauled it. The maul got collapsed, which led to another Fijian yellow card. After that, that was Maui. After that yellow card, they maul again, and Elias goes over for a second. So they kind of get the result in the end. I was just a little bit, I don't know, confused. Maybe there was something there. I mean, we've seen plenty of teams do it. Exeter Chiefs love doing the whole tap and whatever from 5 meters out, but it just didn't seem kind of the right play when you've got the extra man. But either way, it works out because they end up with 2 extra men, and it's 19 points to 23. They missed the conversion, hits the post. They put some more pressure on. And again, a little bit more weird decision making. Like, I love Thomas Williams, man, but why are you doing a grubber kick? Why are you doing a grubber kick when it's way too big and you got 2 extra men? You need to be able to find the space when you got 2 extra men. 1, maybe I can understand, but you're 15 on 13. There's space there somewhere. Put it through the hands. They do it a few minutes later where Cuthbert gets his try in the corner. And to be fair, Cuthbert, I thought, for large periods, was actually, when he was getting the ball, he was getting over the advantage line really well compared to Reece Samet. Now, Reece Samet's the golden boy, and I love watching that guy play as well. And he's going to get some plaudits for that try, that magic try. But Cuthbert, I thought, was doing pretty solid out on that right wing. So he gets a try, which was great to see. Puts them back in the lead, Wales, 24 points to 23. But, I mean, Fiji aren't giving up, man. 2 men down. They go through like 9 phases down Welsh territory. They kick it through as well. There was actually space there somehow, despite having 2 men down, but they couldn't gather it. That was the end of the second yellow cards. I think they conceded 10 points in one and 7 points in the other. So 17 points for Fiji conceded when it was 15 on 13 is probably the difference in this game, to be fair. But Reece Samet's try, if you haven't seen it, you need to watch it. You've probably seen it. It was magic. He was maybe lucky to get it, but it's one of those ones where it's on-field try. Unless there's clear evidence to deny it, you've got to give it, which is one of those ones. So kicks it, he's run down the wing, kicks it. The ref asks on the TMO check that he wasn't in front of the kicker. Maybe he didn't know that Reece Samet's that quick that he was the kicker. He kicks it ahead, just hairs after it. He passes like 3 guys on the way. He beats Vola to ground again. It looked like he dived over it, but it seemed like he just caught enough of it at the ground at the same time. There was no clear and obvious separation, so he gets given the try. That's a bit of a worldie, that one. He's just got such magic gas. Unbelievable. So 31-23. But as I said, Fiji still keep going. They get held up over the line with about 3 minutes to go, but the final say of the game does go to Wales with Liam Williams, who gets man of the match. He gets one at the death when neither side wants to stop playing. Tompkins just went through a big gap, and I mean the Fijian guys are probably getting a bit tired at that point. It's like a 1v3, and they take a good option to Liam Williams. He goes over for the try. So 38-23. So 38-23 looks pretty comfortable in the end, man. If you just looked at the scoreline, didn't see the game, you didn't realise that Fiji had to play for much of the game with 1 man down and then an extra 20 minutes with 2 men down. So that's costly. It would have been interesting to see if it had been 15 on 15 the whole game, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Wales have more possession, 58%, more territory, 56%, more run meters, 521 to 387, but clean breaks is pretty tight, 7-6. So Fiji, less ball, can still generate a lot of attacking play. Defenders beaten 41-14. But Fiji, as I said, they held on for long periods. Offloads, they out-offload the Welsh 8-7. Turnovers won, they out-turnover the Welsh, which they should do, having less ball, but 6-4. So the breakdown was a positive area for Fiji. Scored a couple of good tries. The line-out was a little bit costly, 10 from 14, but I did like Matavesi, man. I thought he was real busy in the game. I think he must have played pretty much the whole 80. 26 out of 28 tackles. Won a turnover, like I said, put a dinking kick through. So yeah, very busy guy. Mata had a couple of clean breaks. Tuisuva had 70 run meters, beat 4 defenders. But I mean, the Welsh guys, Rhys Zammits, 84 run meters, had a couple of clean breaks. Some defenders beating 4 of them. Cuthbert, 69 run meters, a clean break, beats 4 defenders. So good to see their wings kind of getting into the action. Basham has 13 from 14 tackles. He's the top tackler for Wales. Liam Williams, 8 defenders beaten, is massive. 97 run meters for him. So, yeah, the Welsh lineout was 14 from 15, which is pretty pleasing because Ryan Elias gets a bit of stick in that area as well. But I think he's been good for a couple of weeks. So, yeah, it's going to be one of those ones where you can't really win if you're Wales here because you've won 38-23, but a lot of the critique will just be, well, you know, Fiji were down men. That's the only reason you won. You can only play the team that's in front of you. And maybe Pivac is right in the course of the game. They managed it properly and they got the scoreline that reflects the result. I still want to give massive credit to Fiji though for fighting on with the the man disadvantage. They scored, as I mentioned, a really worldy of a try through Nath Levu's second one, and kept the scoreboard ticking over as best they could. Kept fighting right till the end. So yeah, interesting game. Someone's about to call me. Anyway, I better go to find out who that was because I know my old man's having eye surgery today. Maybe it's him. Hopefully he's all good. But yeah, you guys take care of yourselves and I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.